to be quiet. So
It's okay.
hello.
Okay, we are going live.
I'll let you know if I can see you.
Good morning, everyone. It is April 28th, Friday, 2023. My name is Sam Shalhoub, and here we are with our Daily Dispatch Friday Live. So let's jump right into this. First off, another major. Before I get started, I want everyone to know that we are simulcasting both TikTok and Rumble. Rumble.com/Sam Shalhoub. So let's see here. Sorry, guys, I'm living some technical issues here. Anyway, so back to the news. Another major train derailment in Ferryville, Wisconsin. Train cars have entered the Mississippi River. Some of them are floating downstream. Multiple emergency agencies are responding. This happened late yesterday. So let's keep an eye on that as we go forward. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is in the news again. Great guy. I have nothing but respect for him. And he has come out against, many, many things. I won't get into all the details because we're live. And again, I'm going to remind everybody that we are live on TikTok and on Rumble, rumble.com/Sam Shalhoub. So if for some reason this gets shut down on TikTok, you can find me on rumble.com/Sam Shalhoub. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. back in the news. There's a lot of scuttlebutt going on about possible running mates with you-know-who. No idea. Let's see. Okay, sorry, you guys, having a little. We're kind of on a learning phase here, so bear with me, please. I keep getting something that says invite to join live.
Oh.
And I'm not really sure what that means. We're trying to figure out what some of these things are
That
going.
might be somebody trying to join you, though.
Oh, okay.
TikTok, so
I don't really know. But anyway, so Robert F. Kennedy Jr., we're going to keep an eye on him going forward as well. So first estimates on Tucker Carlson leaving. Tucker Carlson leaving Fox. Apparently, they've lost over 1 million viewers pretty much overnight. So we'll have to see how that plays out. The other day, Joe Biden was at a press conference. And sure enough, what happened? He got caught with another cheat sheet in his hand. It just amazes me what the heck is going on there. You have somebody with cognitive decline, significant cognitive decline. And I don't really know how people, no matter who it was, whether he was Republican or Democrat, really doesn't matter to me. It's more about what they do. And he's have some impairment. It sure seems to me anyway. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. According to the Taiwanese Defense Ministry, there are, as of yesterday, there were 38 Chinese warplanes and 6 vessels of the People's Liberation Army that were detected around Taiwan. That's pretty significant. That's a pretty significant deal. And hold on here, folks. I'm trying to get this done. So, okay. So back to the news. Anyway, Taiwan has officially sunk into a recession. Their economy contracted by 3% in the first quarter of this year, worse than expected. This is a significant development. We've had a lot of conversations about Taiwan, China, the U.S.'s involvement, and so forth. And it's something that could be considered, well, how would I say it? The possibility of war coming from that is significant. Something that we need to keep an eye on. We have, also, so yesterday we talked about, a couple days ago, we talked about the First Republic Bank and the possibility that it may be going under. Well, the feds have, it looks like, promised or committed to taking care of this. And it looks like the shares went back up about 10% today. Now, this is something we need to pay attention to because it's a significant development in the banking industry. We've talked about the monetary system many, many times. There's, in my opinion, there's a transition taking place, and it is something that, sorry, folks, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties here. Okay, are you seeing the live chat on TikTok?
Yeah.
Okay, so this went okay. All right. Well, sorry, folks. As I said, this is only my second live stream, so I'm having a little bit of difficulty, but we'll get through it. Okay. As we mentioned earlier in the week, Brazil has banned Telegram, and Telegram is. Also, too, if you have any questions or any responses, just type them in the chat. I have someone here helping me, even though I'm a little compromised when it comes to technology. But we're trying to get to all the questions here. But please just enter your questions into the chat, and we'll do our best to get them answered. So Telegram has been suspended in Brazil. And I find it very interesting that Telegram is a good source of information. It's not censored to the best of my knowledge. At least it hasn't been. And I'm guessing that's probably partly why it's been banned in Brazil. You know, there's a lot going on in Brazil. It's very similar, in my opinion, to what's happened here in the U.S. We have the powers that be, monitoring and censoring what people are saying. This is not something that can be tolerated. We have a First Amendment for a reason. The First Amendment guarantees us the right to free speech. What's the easiest way to control a population? It's by controlling speech. Whenever you have a question or something that comes up, something that is controversial, the answer is never to limit the speech. The answer, in my opinion, is always to increase the speech. Get the dialogue going. Banter it out. Find out what's going on. But what's happening with powers that be around the world and different governments is they're censoring. And that's not something that can be allowed, at least not here in the United States. And I think we're seeing other countries do the same. Let's see. Tucker Carlson. You know, we talked about the other day that Tucker came out and he made a statement on Twitter. He talked about different things. It was very cryptic in nature, as I've said before. He talked about people that are in charge, limiting what it is that can be said. But the way he ended up, he said something to the effect that truth will prevail. And I have to agree with him. I think what's happening is he's shed a light on so many different subjects. And I don't think the people at Fox like that. I think they've limited him. I think that they have shut him down. But there's talk now. Joe Rogan came out yesterday and suggested that Tucker Carlson go over to Rumble and that they should pay him a significant amount of money to become part of Rumble. And I have to agree with that. I think that's a a very significant development, or it could be a very significant development. I don't know. Maybe he's got something planned. Maybe he's going to wind up going and doing some sort of podcast and hit multiple platforms. No way to really tell at this point, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. Yes, I see in the chat here that we've Tucker Carlson with a heart. I agree. I think Tucker has got some nerve to stand up for what he believes to be true. He has been a bullhorn on issues that most people wouldn't touch. I find that very interesting. So, more about Tucker Carlson. Well, I'd like to see him do something that he can reach the masses with, but I don't know whether there's rumors that he has an 18-month balance left on his current contract with Fox, and apparently the word is that they're going to try and pay him to keep him out of the spotlight for the next 18 months. Now, I'm no attorney, I'm no legal expert, but if I looked at it just at face value, my guesses would be that Fox would want to keep him muzzled. They would want to keep him out of the limelight. I hope that doesn't happen, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. So, we have a comment in here. You've heard that he's going to OANN. I heard that too. I don't know how much truth there is to it. I have not seen any verification of him actually going to One American News Network. But again, I think that would be. I've also heard scuttlebutt that he's possibly considering Newsmax. I don't know if those platforms are big enough for him to be able to make the kind of impact that he's made on Fox. But with somebody like a Tucker Carlson moving to an alternate platform like either Rumble or OANN or Newsmax, that would be a significant move. From Marion Crosby 1, they can't keep him quiet for long. I agree. They're not going to be able to keep him quiet for long. He has a huge following. I think I looked up his Twitter account the other day, and I think he's got 6 or 7 million people, and it's growing very fast. So it's fortunate that we have Twitter now taken over by Elon Musk. It's fortunate that we have what I consider to be a free speech bastion in Twitter. And my guess is there's going to be more platforms coming that will embrace free speech. God only knows how quickly it'll happen or whether it will happen on certain platforms like, Facebook and Instagram. I have no idea whether they're going to succumb to the masses, but I really believe that the majority of Americans are for free speech. I really have to believe that that's the case. Now, again, we don't really know how it's going to play out. Excuse me while I take a sip of coffee here. We really don't know. I'm getting some messages saying that some comments in live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Yeah, I don't really know what that means, but something we need to maybe look at.
There's one message from Wayne saying Kennedy has no chance. He is more Republican than Democrat.
Yeah, I saw that, and I think that I saw it.
Okay.
Anyway, somebody made a comment that Kennedy is more Republican than Democrat. Well, I really think it's important to stay away from the dichotomy of Republican versus Democrat. It really doesn't matter to me what it is that they say they are. It's more important to me what they do. There's an old adage that I've heard for years that I've repeated many, many times. And that is, I can't hear a word you're saying because your actions speak so loudly. And if we could focus on that with the politicians, if we could focus on their actions as opposed to their words, I think we're going to be a lot better off. Another comment, K. Jalabama, with a dollar losing value, any suggestions what to do with your money? Well, I've got to be careful. I'm not a financial expert. I'm not giving financial advice, but I believe there is a monetary shift taking place now. We've seen it in Russia. They are no longer part of the SWIFT system. They have backed their ruble with precious metals, and they're the number 2 currency in the world now, second to the dollar. And I think the only reason that they're second to the dollar is because the dollar is the world's reserve currency. But what we're seeing is a de-dollarization around the globe from the dollar. Now, how that plays out long term, are we going through a monetary shift? I believe we are. Do I think it will be backed by precious metals? Possibly. Do I think blockchain technology will be involved in it? Most probably. And look at what's happening with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, as we all know, was in the 60,000s or whatever, came down to the 18,000s, 15,000s. Well, now it's back up close to 30 again. And it has decoupled from the stock market. That's a significant change. So most Americans believe in free speech except the efforts by the GOP state governments. I'm not really sure what you're asking there or what it is you're saying, but I believe most Americans do believe in free speech. And I believe that the powers that be, the nefarious people in the governments, do not want that to happen. They do not want free speech. But again, it's all in flux right now. From Peaches 1116, might all of these newest positive events be part of the grand plan? Well, I'd like to believe that there is a plan in place. I'd like to believe that there are more good people in government than bad. I believe that to be true. And I think that the good people in our government are gaining more power. I think the nefarious people in governments, not only in our government, but governments around the world, are losing their power. I think it's very obvious to me. And I think, sometimes you have to show people. You can't just tell them, you have to show them. And I think we're seeing that with the powers that are in control now. Look at what's happening with the economy. Look what's happening with the open borders. Look what's happening with medical freedom, free speech. These are big deals. And I think most Americans are waking up to this fact. This is all good. Oh, sorry. I think I just sorry, guys and gals. I'm learning this whole system. So my apologies if I'm cutting in and out here.
We got a message over on Rumble.
Uh-huh.
GLFR Cat says 18 months would negate his influence in the 2024 election.
Oh, good point. 18 months. Somebody just commented on Rumble that an 18-month lapse for Tucker would affect his effectiveness in helping with the election. I think that's the gist of the question. Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't want to see him out for 18 months. Again, we don't know what the details are. My guess is that he responded with what happened within a couple of days. He sent out the text and what have you. So I think that there's something going on. I think he's got something planned, but I don't know what it is yet. So again, back to the question about the dollar losing the value. I think it's always wise to have precious metals. I think it's always wise to have Bitcoin. And I am not a fan of the altcoins. Some people call them shit coins. I am not a fan of those. Part of the reason I'm a fan of Bitcoin is 2 reasons. Number 1, it's a limited supply. Number 2, it's a distributed ledger, which means that it's verified by people all over the world. And number 3, it's decentralized, meaning that there's no one person or not one company responsible for or being able to influence it. Now, does that mean that people can't manipulate it in certain ways by buying and selling in large quantities? Sure, they can. But the crux of Bitcoin, in my opinion, is a solid foundation for a monetary system. And we're seeing it all over the world. El Salvador has adopted Bitcoin. We've got Bitcoin mining farms popping up all over the world. In fact, the first one in the US that is nuclear powered, I believe in Pittsburgh, is up and running now. That's a big deal. So hopefully that answers your question on the money. Plan, okay.
Boneborn 22. Might all of these newest positive events be part of the grand plan?
Yeah, we talked about that just a second ago, and I believe the grand plan, I believe there is a plan in place. And this is just my opinion, but I think the culmination of these nefarious people in our government started or took hold and took control back around the time John F. Kennedy was killed. I believe that his death spurred the good people in our government to create a way out of this system. Now, remember, the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, which means that it's been over 100 years that this power structure has been in place. It's not going to get done away with overnight. It's going to take time, but I think we're well into that period of time now. Another comment by Stop the Vicious Cycle, I think. This person said they said Germany is going to BRICS. Well, I believe that's true. You know, we've got BRICS. We've got Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. But now there's 19 more countries that have applied for membership or entry into the BRICS Association. I think Germany is one of those. I can't be positive. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure Germany was one of them. And it makes sense. I mean, we're talking about a significant, major move in the monetary systems. I think Russia was the first one to come right out and do it. Excuse me. Now, look at what's happening with Russia and China. Russia and China are allied, for lack of a better term, financially, militarily. That spells trouble for the world if in fact they are nefarious, which I don't believe they are, but if they are, that's a powerhouse that we would have to deal with. Why hasn't the US been involved with this BRICS yet? Because we're the world's reserve currency. They're doing everything they can to keep us from being part of that. I'm not seeing the comments on Rumble. I wonder, am I not?
Oh, you're still there.
Yep, I am. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, from Jeff Bell 1699. People don't care to see the truth. Well, I think it scares people. I think the truth can scare people. You know, I've been part of this truth movement for literally over 30, coming up to close to 40 years now. I got woken up back in the mid 80s, primarily by my brother, Dr. Mike, who's no longer with us. Yeah, I miss him all the time, but you know, he woke me up back in the mid 80s. And people back then, I would talk to people about different various subjects that, you know, they would look at me like I was crazy, like I had a horn coming out of my forehead. But what's really interesting is some of those people 30 years ago are calling me today and saying, "Oh my God, you were right." And it's not that I want to be right. I just want people to know the truth. And I think the majority of people, you know, this Jeff Bell 1699 said people don't care to see the truth. I think they do, but I think it scares them. And I think there's also something called cognitive dissonance. That's something that's so far out of the realm of what we consider to be normal that it's almost impossible for people mentally to recognize it. You know, that's a real thing. It's hard. It can be hard for people. You know, I was just talking with a friend here that, you know, years ago, when you're still asleep and you hear these different truth things, you kind of get scared by it. And you're like, wow, is this person kind of crazy? But because there's something in your heart, there's something in your gut that tells you that there's truth there. And I would encourage everyone to follow your gut. It's usually right. I think we second guess our gut so many times, but it's usually right. So I think people do want to see the truth, but I think it has to happen over a period of time. People have to be able to accept it over a period of time. Hope that answers your question. From Peaches 1116, Tucker, I've heard, does not have an NDA with Fox. You know, that may be true. I don't know if he does or if he doesn't. I would think at that level, with that size of a corporation, that he would have to have some sort of not an NDA, not a non-disclosure agreement, but a non-compete agreement where, he can't go someplace else. But is that only in place during the length or the tenure of his contract? If he doesn't accept the money from Fox, if they're offering it to him, does that mean that he's out of the non-compete? I have no idea. I've not been privy to his contract, so I really couldn't tell you. But I wouldn't be surprised. He could have an NDA as well, a non-disclosure agreement for things that took place, behind the camera or behind the scenes. But I would almost bet that he has a non-compete as long as his contract is in place. But again, I have no idea. Sandy D. Simone 53, they're not taking the currency away. Okay, I'm not sure what currency you're talking about. I agree with if what you're saying is that we're going to have a collapse, we're not going to have a collapse, and people aren't going to lose their money, I would agree with you. I believe that there is a system in place. It'll be a transition time. There will probably be some bumpy road, some rough waters, but I agree. I don't think that people are just going to lose everything that they had. They can't allow that to happen because I believe the good people in our government are in control. And I believe that there is a system that's probably already been tested. It's ready to go. But again, until the global consciousness, even in just America, comes to a certain point, you can't really roll something out. But I agree with you. I don't think everybody's just going to lose all their money and it's going to be, Mad Max all, here in the U.S. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's a system in place, and I think that we're going to see that system in the very near future. Now, when I say the near future, do I mean tomorrow? No. Do I mean 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now? Yeah, I think it's going to be fairly soon.
I have a question on Rumble from Valkyrie 277. The US is probably going to be the last country to join the GCR because we have to be the ones to implode the old monetary system since it's based on our currency.
Right. And I would agree with that. I think the US is fighting all they can to keep from having the US dollar lose its world reserve currency status. I would agree with that. Now, how that's going to play out, I don't know. I mean, but it's interesting that you have Brazil, Russia, China, South Africa, India. The biggest economies in the world are part of BRICS, but we're not. Why is that? Well, it's for what you just said. We don't want to lose the world's reserve currency. I mean, I think the last estimates I saw was $982 billion in interest payments for the national debt. That's unsustainable, and everybody knows it's unsustainable. How that transition is going to take place, God only knows for sure, but it's coming. BRICS are this is from Jim T. Twig, I believe. BRIC are the countries that want to dethrone the dollar. Yeah, I would agree. I think that there is an argument can be made for countries that are part of the BRICS. They're tired of the stranglehold that the US dollar has put in around the world. Now, remember, this US dollar, this is the petrodollar system that's coming to an end. Now, I don't know how much you all know about the petrodollar system, but in a nutshell, we were protecting militarily OPEC, and in exchange for that, they would only sell their oil to customers in US dollars. But that's all gone away now. It's people are trading in their own currencies. So I think you're right, Jim Twig, that BRICS are the countries that want to dethrone the dollar. I think there's some truth to that. Let's see here. Sorry, folks, trying to get to the next questions. No, they aren't. That's part of the plan to crush the dollar to get digital currency. Yeah, well, central bank digital currencies, not a good thing. A lot of social control. If the government doesn't like what you're saying, they're shutting off your money. We do not want to allow CBDCs. And again, that's another argument for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is decentralized. It's a distributed ledger. It cannot be controlled. They can't shut off Bitcoin if they don't like what you're saying. So I would agree with you that digital currencies, not a good thing, not something we want to have happen. From Proud Patriot 12077. The U.S. will be last. That's what I've been hearing since 2019. So when you say the U.S. will be last, do you mean that they'll be last entering into BRICS or something else? But if you are talking about BRICS, yeah, I mean, it's like, why would you want to, you wouldn't want to use an alternate brand if you have your own brand in very simple terms. Why would you want there to be another monetary system if you control the world's reserve currency? The amount of money that's generated from us being the world's reserve currency is significant. So I would agree with you. They don't want the U.S. The nefarious people in the U.S. government do not want BRICS to happen, but that ship has sailed. BRICS is here, and whether BRICS is going to be the go-to structure, your guess is as good as mine. But if it's not BRICS, it will be something else. Okay. Let's see here. Sorry, folks, trying to get to the next questions. Okay, from Donald Harris 83. Right now is the time to buy all the gold and silver. Well, gold and silver is never a bad investment, in my opinion. This is not financial advice, but I agree that the precious metals are important. They always have been. Look through history. Gold has always had value, and silver. Those are. I agree with you. Gold and silver. Those are staples. The problem is the medium of exchange for gold and silver. You know, you have $1 million in gold. It's difficult to shave off a little bit of gold to buy eggs at the store. Now, if you put it in a holding someplace, then you still have this control system. Whoever's holding it really controls it. So I think there is a lot of truth in gold and silver, holding gold and silver. But I also think that there's got to be a way to transact business. And, you know, a lot of countries over the last 10 years have been repatriating tons and tons of gold. Well, that tells me something. Something's going on. For China to be buying gold, Russia, the US, you're right. Gold and silver can be a portion of this new monetary system. I probably will be, in my opinion. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Trying to get this. Okay. Okay, from Proud Patriot 12077. The most corruption is centered here in the U.S., so I guess it ends here. Well, I think that the U.S., you're right. I think that there is a lot of nefarious people here. And like I said, I've been in this movement a long, long time. And I didn't realize the scope of the nefarious people, not just here in the U.S., but around the world. When 184, when 184 countries went into the shutdown, it opened my eyes to how big the network is for these nefarious people. And like I said, I was no neophyte coming into this 3-4 years ago. I was very well versed. I've been doing this a long time, but it shocked me to find out 184 countries were part of this nefarious group of people. So it's going to take time. It's going to take time. And yes, the U.S., I believe, is one of the pillars of these nefarious people. But again, truth will prevail. And as I said, it's going to be some bumpy road, but we will win in the end.
Got a question from the Truth Seer Aided. And he says, or it's a comment, sorry, it takes enough energy to power a house to create 1 Bitcoin. Sad, sad. So,
you know, that's part of this debate with Bitcoin, the amount of energy that it takes to run the farms. Well, if you look at fossil fuels and the amount of energy that is expended with fossil fuels to keep the current fiat system floating, we're not even at a fraction of 1% of what it's taking for Bitcoin. So it's all about energy. It's about energy consumption and production. So I don't know that I would agree with the amount of energy that it takes to run it. Look at the amount of energy that every bank in the US uses to run their computers, to power their lights in the building, for the people's cars to get to and from. Bitcoin, I believe, is an alternative. Now, whether it's going to be the center alternative or whether it's going to be one piece of the new monetary system, I just don't know. And thank you all for the questions. Keep them coming.
Tracy Butterhoff 813 asked, "What is BRICS?" She's late coming in, so
Okay, and it was Tracy. This is on Rumble or
this is on TikTok.
TikTok. Okay, so what is BRICS? BRICS is a group of countries that have come together to, how would I explain it, form a new monetary system of sorts, of trading, of disbursement of funds. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So it's kind of like the G7. It's a bunch of countries that come together and agree that they're going to do certain things in a certain way. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what BRICS is. Okay. Shane Chester 972, XLM and XRP. Okay. These are altcoins. Again, this is not financial advice, but I do not like a digital coin that is controlled by a central corporation or a central governing body. That's a problem because it's the same as the fiat system. If they don't like what you're saying, they shut you down. Why do you think they're pushing for a cashless society? Because they want to track everything that you do. We do not want that to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's enough people awake now that'll keep that from ever happening. But again, it doesn't mean they're not going to try. Donald Harris 83, I'm predicting that gold will be $5,000 an ounce. Donald, I think that gold is well over that already, but I think it's been suppressed by the powers that be. I think the gold per ounce, if you look at the buying power of the dollar in 1913 or 1920 versus what it is today, it's lost something like 98.5% of its purchasing power. That's a big deal. Cars that you bought in the 1970s were, a Corvette was what, $15,000? Today, it's $100,000. Is it because the cost of materials have gone up, or is it because the value of the dollar has fallen? I think that you'll find that it was the value of the dollar that has fallen that's caused these prices to go up. And then don't forget the whole inflation thing that's going on. We've printed more money in the last 5 years than we had printed in the previous 50 years. What is inflation? It's a stable or an economy that is either stagnant or falling, and it's more money chasing the same amount of products and services. That's inflation in a nutshell. And I believe the inflation numbers that they're purporting that we have, I think they're way off. About 10 years ago, 10 years ago, they changed the way they calculate inflation. And there was two things that they removed from it. You know what it was? Food and fuel. Food and fuel. What are the two things that have gone up the most in the last 10 years? Food and fuel. It's a shell game. It's a shell game any way you look at it, in my opinion. Let's see. Ooh, sorry, I'm losing my thing here. Bear with me, everybody. Okay, sorry. I think I just had one and now this is scary stuff. Tracy Butter, yeah, it can be scary. Be confident. There's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things that are keeping us on track. It may not look like it all the time, but there's lots of people, and that's encouraging. So keep the faith.
41 Wool says Bitcoin lost its advantage when it moved from proof of work to proof of stake.
Well, again, 41 Wolves, I don't believe that Bitcoin ever moved to proof of stake. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe that's the case. It's always been proof of work. It's always been distributed ledgers. and it's not something that can be manipulated. It can't be changed. So unless I'm wrong, which I could be, but I don't believe Bitcoin is proof of stake. Ethereum, XRP, they're proof of stake, but not Bitcoin. Penny Powers 3636 says it goes along with NWO, right? Well, the New World Order, Bush 1 talked about a New World Order. And I think that has been their plan for a long time. But I also think that there's been some speed bumps for them in the last, 6 years, 7 years. And they can't do what they thought they were going to be able to do. People are waking up. They were trying to boil the frog slowly, and they were very successful. But then other people got involved, and people are waking up. So I don't think the New World Order has a chance. I think it's done. I think they know it's done. But again, time will tell. From Dad and James Cook, it looks like government will ban all crypto, saying it funds the enemy. Well, they can ban it. They can claim to ban it. But again, Bitcoin is a distributed ledger. It's worldwide. You may not be able to transact at certain merchants with Bitcoin, but they can't stop it. And I think they know that. So do I think that they're going to, again, XRP, these other altcoins, they're all controlled. They're all under a central corporation or group of people that control it. So if the government gets on them and then they decide to shut it down, yeah, they can ban those, but I don't see how they can ban Bitcoin. It's beyond that. That ship has sailed, in my opinion. This is from 41 Wolves again. Both Ethereum and Bitcoin are controlled by 3 to 4 corporations. I don't agree with that. Ethereum, I think you're right. Bitcoin, no. It's a distributed ledger. It's proof of work. It's a decentralized system. So I don't think that's the case. But again, I'm always open to comments. Let's see. Jim Twig said, renewable solar concentrated energy can defang all those countries that are oil-rich cartels. Well, I think, again, oil is a cartel. I would agree with you. Same with the diamond industry. It's a cartel. Same with the medical industry. It's a cartel. It's a controlled system. So I don't think the answer is solar. I don't think the answer is wind farms. I mean, solar and wind farms make up something like less than 1% of the 10% of renewable energy. I don't think they're viable modes of energy. Now, I believe that there are, if we look back at what Nikola Tesla did, he basically was able to pull energy out of the atmosphere. And it was him and Edison that went head to head. They're two different ideologies. And why did they go with Edison? Was it because he was so smart and had a better system? No. It's because they could control it, they could package it, and they could sell it. Tesla, on the other hand, it was free energy. So I believe that there is free energy that's coming. I believe we're on the cusp of whether it's magnetic energy, whether it's cold nuclear fission. I don't know, but I believe we're on the cusp of a new energy system coming on board.
We've got a question from Rumble from Ewald 1556. What exactly is globalism and the good, if any, and bad for the world?
Okay, so I'm sure you guys heard that question, guys and gals. What is globalism? Well, in my opinion, globalism is a group of people that want to control commerce and individuals, no matter what country they're in. You have 45 comes out and says, oh no, America first. Well, the globalists, they don't want that to happen. They want to rape and pillage every country for their own ends. Whereas, in my opinion, Trump, Putin, they should be for their own countries. They should want the best for their own countries. Globalists don't care about countries. They don't see borders. They see dollar signs. They see control. So I think the globalism model is dead. I think it's kind of like a chicken that you cut its head off, but the body runs around for a while, but ultimately it's dead. And I think that's the direction we're going. At least I'm confident that we are. Okay. Gilly Dozer said that quantum rainbow currency will be the new American currency. No more fiat. Well, there's a lot of talk about the quantum financial system. There's a lot of talk about the rainbow currency. I don't know if those are true. I'd like to believe they are, but I don't have enough information to be able to say definitively, yes, that's the direction it's going. But it could be. I do believe there's a new monetary system. I do believe that the fiat systems are going away. But whether it's going to be rainbow currency and QFS, no way to tell at this point, at least not for me. Does Basel IV compliance requirements stop CBDC from starting? I've looked into the Basel IV a little bit, and I'm a little foggy on what it was now. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there was something about it that I think rings true. Let me make a note on that, and I will do some research, and I'll get back to you on that. Acephalus1 just bought my first gold bar. Congratulations. That's a good thing. Keep up the good work. Let's see. Carlos Kendrick 63. It's the World Economic Forum. You're right. The WEF is has been a very influential group, not only here in the US, but around the world. And I think you're right. I think the World Economic Forum has historically been a nefarious group, and I believe that they're done. And I think they know that they're done. But as I said, they're going to kick and scream to the very end. They're not going to just give up and roll over. Acphilos 1, there's companies that have car kits that make your cars run on hydrogen. Well, there have been multiple inventors that have been able to devise automobiles that run on water. But what's interesting is these large corporations come in and they buy up the patents, and then they put them on a shelf to get rid of the competition. In some cases, they've actually disposed of the people that have created them. I know it's a harsh reality, but it's truth. These types of things have happened. They really don't care about us. They care about profits, and they care about control. But you're right. There is multiple forms of energy that have been suppressed that I believe are now going to be coming to the forefront.
Someone asked, this is from Talk One, what's the difference between income and wage?
Good question. What's the difference between income and wage? Well, in my opinion, a wage is something that you get paid for a specific transactional action. Income, on the other hand, could be passive income. It could be from a wage. It could be an inheritance. I mean, there's just a multitude of ways income comes into play, but a wage is typically a contracted act for a specific compensation over a specific amount of time. What? Okay.
Someone had a question, Uno Mastos 88, if you want to speak about Israel and focus on geopolitics.
Ooh, Israel and geopolitics. Well, that's a much bigger subject than we can get into today, but I'll suffice it to say that I believe Israel, certain people in the government of Israel, just like here in the US, just like in Germany, just like in Russia, just like in China, have a nefarious and evil direction. But I think those people are on their way out. And I think they know that they're on their way out. It's kind of like somebody who's standing next to a pool and you push that person into the pool, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to try and grab onto you to keep from falling in. Well, that's what's happening with these people. They're trying to grab onto us to keep from falling in, and they won't be successful.
Penny Powers 3636 says, "Thank you for your encouraging words." And John Grooms 898 says, "We love you, Sam."
Oh, you guys are sweet. Thank you so much. That really, it encourages me. I really hesitated to get on camera. My significant other, my sisters, many friends have encouraged me to do this, and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't feel confident enough. I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but since I've done this, since I started this just a couple of months ago, the response has been overwhelming. Such positive, such encouragement. Yeah, I just want to thank you guys. It's really, you guys and gals, it's really cool. And it's something I love doing. It's something that I really enjoy. And it's something I know a lot about. I've been doing it a long time. But thank you for the kind words. Keep them coming. It really encourages me.
Tap Talk One says, "Are you related to Tony?"
I get that question a lot. Well, Tony Shalhoub, the actor, I'm sure we're related at some point somewhere, but I don't know him personally. Maybe he'll see this podcast and he'll reach out to me. I don't know, but we both live here in LA, from what I understand. But again, I don't know him. Main Guide 0214, you're doing a good job. Keep it up. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. So everybody, we're getting up to close to an hour here on the live stream. So I think we're going to end it for today. Thank you all for being here. What a wonderful, wonderful time. And thank you for the words of encouragement. And remember, we are going to win. It may not always look like that. We may lose some battles, but we will win the war. So keep it up. Keep coming. Keep sending me messages. I'll do my best to respond to everything I can. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great Friday, and we'll talk again soon. I'm not sure how to end this on here. Do you know how to end it on here? I don't really see.
Make sure to tell them to follow you on Rumble.
Oh, that's right. Follow me on Rumble at rumble.com/Sam Shalhoub. And again, if I could figure out how to shut off this live stream, I will. But in the meantime, have a great day. Okay, got it. Yeah, I think we had. Oh my.
End it here.
Oh, I got it. Okay.